Welcome, everybody. Happy week 3 of the Transformation Challenge 2025. This week, myself and Ashley are going to be talking about how to program your workouts when you're looking for higher effort days versus maybe when you need to dial it back a bit for moderate to lower effort days. We're in the middle of the challenge. We're getting into week 3 and week 4. So for some, we have upped the ante a little bit about how many workouts a week we're getting in here. So this is a good time to kind of talk about what it means to work out under the orange lights and what type of effort you should be giving. I'm going to introduce myself first. So I'm based out of Capital Region. So if you're viewing from our other regions, I have been with Orange Theory for the last 9.5 years, give or take. I've been in a lot of different roles within Orange Theory. I was the head coach of our Orange Theory Albany location for about 8 years, and now I'm more in a regional role. So I work in fitness. I'm also part of the sales and operations side of things, and I assist in pretty much all of our regions. So I work with Ashley out in Amherst, Buffalo, and we're going to talk a lot of things today, but my favorite part of Orange Theory is the technology component and all the data that we get along with it. So Ash, I'll have you introduce yourself and give us a little bit more about you.
Hi, I'm Ashley Ramsey. I'm the head coach of OTF Boulevard. I started off as a part-time coach back in 2021 and then quickly became head coach. I also coach at our transit location here in Buffalo, New York. Favorite part about OTF? Power days. Power days are my favorite. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. Strength days on the floor.
Love it. So let's kind of get into what we're even going to talk about today. So an overview, the what. What does it mean to program a higher versus a lesser effort day? Why is this important? We're going to dive into some of the big reasons why, if you aren't doing this already, you should be. And honestly, the biggest part is, well, I know what it is. I know why I should do it, but how? How do I get there? How do I tailor? How do I customize my workouts within Orange Theory to get the intensity level that I'm looking for? So let's talk about the what first and foremost is how do I know when to program a higher versus a lower effort day? So the first thing we're going to talk about is ask yourself, when was your last rest day? So think, when was it? Was it yesterday? Was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe you don't even know, so you're pulling up your app and you're scrolling to see. If you can't remember when your last rest day was, and I mean in total fitness, not just Orange Theory, almost everywhere and always, that's an indicator that potentially adjusting your effort on one of your next workouts is important. When we take rest days, they're crucial to help our body repair, our muscles recover, we get stronger. It helps us to kind of stay back from that overtraining, overworking side of things. And it helps you recharge. We say that a lot on power days, but it helps you recharge for your next workout. It's winter season. Ashley and I have definitely been feeling the effects of it. But are you currently sick or are you coming off of being sick? Do you have an injury? Maybe not I broke my foot injury, but have been having like a nagging, my shoulder, my knee, my back? If you've been experiencing those type of injuries or restrictions, that may be another indication that you have to dial it back a little bit within the Orange Theory space. Pushing through a sickness, sweating it out isn't really ideal. Pushing through a nagging knee injury isn't ideal. Doing that is only going to exacerbate the issue. And you may find that the injury, the restriction, the illness, the sickness becomes more severe than if you just listened to your body initially and said, hold up, I need to adjust my effort, or going back to the first point, take a rest day. Kind of goes hand in hand, Ash, what you're going to talk about.
Yep, leading right into energy levels. So, if you haven't taken a rest day, you might feel a little bit more run down. If you are in the middle of the season we're in, where everybody's got the sniffles or there's a stomach bug or something else going around, you might not have the typical energy levels. And it's also going to go in hand with sleep quality. So, I'm just going to throw that in there with it now. But you listening to your body and noticing where your energy levels are at. We all wear watches. You might have like one of those fitness rings. It's an aura ring, one of those that kind of tells you how your body is responding and where your energy level is at. And sometimes it tells you if you need to dial it back a little bit. But again, as human beings, we should be able to tell when it's time for us to either step it up a notch or dial it back. Now, depending on if you did, Inferno on Wednesday and now it's Friday and you're finally not sore from being on the rower forever. What type of day are you going to take today if you decide to take your OTF workout or things of that sort? That's kind of where you got to think, where is my body at right now? Sleep quality. Are you actually getting like 7 hours of sleep? Be honest. Think about it. Do you track your sleep? Do you wear something at night that tracks your sleep that tells you how much REM you're getting, how much deep sleep you're getting? What does that all mean? Look in your app. But with that, if you're not quite getting the great sleep quality that you should be getting, then your body's not having enough time to recharge and recover. I've said it before during classes, but rest is part of the recipe. So you got to make sure that you are giving your body time to reset, rebuild, and refuel so that you can go for that next PR, so that you can go for that next full week of, 4 workouts if you've been working your way up to that.
Favorite thing, and I heard Ashley say this earlier, but rest is part of the recipe. Never
It
used it
is.
before, but now I'm going to use it. So I wear an Aura ring. And ever since I've been wearing one, I realized that even though I'm laying in bed, I'm not actually falling asleep. So I'm like doing the math. Okay, if I go to bed at 10 and I wake up at 5, that's 7 hours. But in actuality, I'm not falling asleep until 11. The sleep in between that is wonky. And then it's like, no, you got 5 hours of sleep. And I'm like, okay, so I can feel that. So if you're somebody on this call that's having a hard time with sleep quality, I'm right there with you. Um, all of these go hand in hand. We're in transformation challenge. We know that everybody is adjusting their intake, whether it comes to fueling, you're going big because you're looking for muscle gain. Maybe you're somebody that's on a goal of losing a certain amount of fat loss, so you're restricting. As long as you're doing everything in a healthy way, all good. But it's important to note that you've changed your fueling strategy. That's going to go hand in hand with your workouts. If you're somebody that is restricting, going way under your calories for your metabolic rate, you may be finding that you don't, like Ashley said, have the energy level. You may not even be sleeping great. And now you're trying to come into a workout going 100% and you don't have the energy and the fuel for it. So just be sure you're paying close attention. Little plug for Stronger You. For those of you that are using the Stronger You app, it not only has you log your food, but it also has you log in your energy level. Little battery symbol, low, middle, high. That should be something you check in with yourself every day, regardless of how you're tracking your fueling, because that could be a pattern. On these days when you're having this many calories or fats, proteins, carbs, you feel great. This days you don't feel great. They could go hand in hand. Ash, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it later, but what do you have to say about heart rate zones and all that good stuff?
Well, if you're wearing your heart rate monitor during class, your OTB, you'll kind of be able to see where your body's at. On a typical day, we've got our orange, our green, our blue, our gray, and noticing that maybe at a typical effort, you're seeing either higher or lower heart rate might be an indication of if you need to push a little bit harder or if you need to dial it back a little bit. Like, for instance, say you're in your typical base and you're riding high into the green. And you're like, but this is my base. Why am I so high right now? Then that might be an indication that you might be underhydrated, that you might need to switch things up, that your body's telling you, hey, I'm a little tired. Can we dial this back a little bit? or you notice you're at your typical base, you're barely getting into the green, then that's also an indication that maybe your body's getting a little bit stronger and that you need to start upping your game in order to see the changes you're looking for, whether that's, um, building more strength and more muscle, or you want to lose body fat. Also, those go hand in hand, hand in hand. Okay.
Last one on our list is your goals. And it doesn't necessarily mean, well, I'm going for fat loss, I'm going for muscle gain. It could be, I really want to improve my 1 mile. I really want to get stronger on my 200-meter benchmark row. Planning your workouts to really hone in on those areas is also important of when to program high versus moderate to lower intensities days. We had Inferno this week. Maybe you came the day before. If you came the day before and went hard and then expected to go hard on Inferno, maybe you were successful this time around. Can't say that's going to happen every time. Or I had a lot of members that came to class the day after Inferno and they were saying how difficult that day was. That might have been a day for a lower effort day to get the body moving, to get the body going, but not giving 100+% because we know overtraining, injury, all that good stuff, which Ashley and I are actually going to talk about next is, well, why? Why does it matter? Why do I care if I take a moderate or lower effort day? What I just was saying is because there is a difference. It can happen. Ashley and I can say it with 100% certainty is it is very easy to overtrain at Orange Theory if you're not being careful. If you are conscious of your rest days, you're conscious of adjusting some things that Ashley and I are going to talk about in a few minutes, it's very easy to stay in the middle. But if you're not being careful, you'll blink, check your your Orange Theory app and say, oops, I haven't taken a rest day in 2 weeks. This is why I feel like this. This is why my body hurts. This is why I'm so tired. This is why my fueling looks horrible. I'm not eating enough. Or I'm eating too much. You may realize you're kind of going out of whack. And we are aware you guys pay money to take the classes. We want to ensure you're also not undertraining. We want to make sure you're making the most out of your workouts and you're finding that sweet spot. Of course, Ashley is going to talk about some bigger things and
Yes.
why it's really important.
Um, Orange Theory, it's going to be around for a while, a long time. So we want you there with us as well. So making sure that you're taking care of your body in a positive way is going to help along. Now, I know some people out there, they want to do all the days of transformation challenge. Okay. Do I highly recommend it? No. But if you do, then be smart about your workouts. And we'll talk about the hows, but adding in green days, maybe taking a tread 50 class, switching up your tempos on the floor. There are all things that you can do in order to switch up your full 7 days at OTF so that your body can go for the long haul. It's steady progress. You don't want to be the first one to finish. You don't. You want your body to steadily progress because then you'll have those results for a longer time. And then also with that, if you're training your body smart, we're going to run into less injury prevention. And I've seen my fair share of knees, feet, shoulders, hips, backs. Why? Because everybody's coming into class trying to go at full max. And you don't have to go at full max every time. If anything, I tell people green is great. I love it that you're in the green. That tells me that you're keeping your heart rate up, but you're giving yourself enough time to recover as well. You're playing it smart. So those are some of the whys of what we should do, and that kind of leads us right into how.
So this is kind of it because we can tell you what it is, why it's important, but you might be sitting there and say, okay, well, Tara and Ashley, how? How do I make this happen? We're giving you a lot of ways to do it. So you've been hearing myself and Ashley reference it quite a lot, but green days. You're probably sitting there saying, well, what is a green day? Do I even know what that is? If you know what that is, the question you should ask yourself is, well, when was the last time I actually did one? I took a green day. A green day is when you make the conscious decision to keep your heart rate in that green zone for the majority of your workout and the blue, the gray. Now, does it mean you get into orange? I would say try to steer clear, but if you're naturally getting there and you're kind of being conscious of it, it can happen, but it's good to know that. Now, how do I do green days? I do it because I'm wearing my OTP heart rate monitor. So if you're not wearing a monitor, you're not gonna be able to visually see it. So that's step one. Step two, if you wear a heart rate monitor, try it. You're still going to get a great workout. You're still going to get a lot from the 60 minutes, but it's a great way to be present without going too hard. Now, green days can happen because of all the other things that we're going to list underneath it. It's kind of like the general term that we'd like to use. One way we can do it is maybe incorporating different workouts within Orange Theory that we maybe aren't using. So I'll have Ash kind of talk about one of our class offerings that you might not have tried.
So, if you haven't heard, where have you been? We have this class called Tread 50 now. It's 50 minutes on the tread. It's like a 7 minute warm up and like 38 minutes worth of actual work. It is programmed, it's coach guided, member pace. So, you get to pick your paces and how you want to accomplish them. They're probably going to be a little bit longer efforts, longer treads for distances, pushes, bases, things of that sort. So, you might not be using the same speeds that you would use during a typical Orange 60 class. We might need to dial it back so that you can go the long haul and test that body out. Um, but Tread 50 can be used as an active recovery day. If you're coming off of, like I said, you guys are seeing this in the future, but we just did Inferno. You're sore from Inferno. That was a tough day, but you still want to come in and get your workout in. Then you come for Tread 50. You could power walk the Tread 50. You can bike or stride the Tread 50. You can literally run straight through the Tread 50. If you're looking at getting in miles, we're outside. You don't want to run in snow. So Tread 50 has that opportunity for there that it can be customizable to what you need for that day. And speaking of bike and strider, that brings us back to Tara.
So let's talk bikes and striders. Sometimes they're like the forgotten piece of equipment in the workout room, unless you're someone that uses them pretty often. Bikes and striders are an option for anyone that may have restrictions or injuries in place of a treadmill, but they're not only for that. If you're a runner or a jogger and you need a day, maybe that day, you're like, you know what, I just don't want to run or jog today. You do have the option to bike or stride, and it's a great way to cross train. It may elicit a different heart rate response. It recruits different muscles that you might not be solely using when you're on a treadmill. I know that when I use the bike, which I think is tough, to be honest, in a good way, my quads are like on fire when I use the bike, much different than when I use the treadmill. So some days I want that. So I'll use the bike instead, and I still get a great workout. I maybe don't get my 12 splat points, but it's okay. It doesn't have to happen every single class. And it's a great way for me to kind of break up the treadmill work and get some more cross training thrown in there. If you're a little nervous about using the bike or strider, you can always ask the coach prior to the class. But a baby step, if you're a jogger runner, try power walking. I know some classes we force you guys to do it because it's part of the workout template. But what if you just came in one day and you said, I'm committing to power walking today, no matter what the template looks like, and give it a go? It'll be worth your while. Again, you're going to recruit different muscles that are beneficial to you than just jogging and running. And, for power walkers, you can adjust things by the incline, by the speed in which you walk. So those are ways that you can change the intensity level of your workout. Opposite to the treadmill, Ash, how can they do it strength training?
Strength training on the floor, load strategies that we could use. The tempo at which you lift with, time under tension. Some of the times you're trying to speed through how many rounds can I get through on the floor instead of bringing it back to maybe thinking, how can I move with more intention? How can I make sure I'm working the muscles I'm supposed to be working? And how can I slow it down? You can lift heavier. You can bring it into a 3-to-1 tempo. So 3 counts on the way down, 1 count hold at the bottom, 1 count to the top. Time under tension literally recruits more muscle fibers, which then turns on more um, fat burn, which then leads to more results. Do I drop the more life? Okay, we dropped it. Um, but yes, in there with the strength training, changing up how you're lifting, the amount you're lifting, and slowing things down can really change up your workouts.
Yeah, and kind of talking in with that is sometimes we think changing things up on the weight room floor or taking the option is lesser of it, and it's only reserved for people that have injuries or restrictions. So This is my plug for Coach Erica and Coach Chris. They dropped a workshop last week on all things options and regressions and how you still can remain successful. And sure, if you have an injury or restriction, of course it's important to do that, but it can also be reserved on days where maybe you're overly sore in one area and you don't want to put too much pressure there. Or maybe it's just a day where you want to take a step back and say, I still want to move my body. I still want to get this workout done, but I'm going to take an option instead. So if you haven't watched that workshop, make sure you go tune in. It's in the Facebook group and all that good stuff. So check it out. Now, my next topic that Ash is going to talk about is the block that's like the forgotten block. The
You mean
one
the
that
block where
people are
everybody
like,
leaves?
bye.
Where it's like, thanks for a great workout, I'm out. That mobility block, whereas coaches are giving announcements, but yet still trying to bring your body down. We just had this heightened hype class, and then your body, your muscles are all still like hyped with it. And then you're going to go get in your car and sit there for the next 20 minutes until you get to your next destination. Make sure you're staying for that mobility block. It's cold outside. I tell people warm up their cars, come back in and finish stretching with us. A, you're going to find out all the things you need to know about the studio so that you're not lost. But also, B, that's a time for your muscles and your nervous system to kind of settle back down. It's just like how we play around with the volumes with our music. We're not going to leave it at an all out volume. We're going to bring that volume down so it's a little bit more mellow so that your body can become a little bit more mellow. But also, it gives a chance for those muscles to re-lengthen, to kind of reset so that you're not walking out of here just all hyped up. We don't want that. We don't want that. If anything, take a picture of it. Do it once you get to your next destination if you must run out. But please stay.
I won't say where, but sometimes I'll coach class and then there's like two people waiting around. So
Oh, I love that.
stay,
I
stay.
love that.
Um, Last one that we're going to talk about how you can make this happen is to be strategic. Maybe it's a certain benchmark that's coming that you want to perform for. So understanding that the workouts leading up to that may need to be pulled back a little bit so you're fresh, you have the energy that you're looking for to PR your 2000-meter row or to PR Inferno. Or listening to your body. And when I say that, let's say you took a lower body strength 50 and then you come in the next day and it's lower body on the floor with inclines on the treadmill, that might be a day that you say, you know what? I'm going to either stride or I'm going to walk lower incline or I'm going to lift lighter on the weight room floor. Take the option instead of just saying, all right, yes, I'm going to do lower body again. Guess I'm just going to push through it. And then you realize I was so fatigued and sore that I actually hurt myself. So just being conscious of how you're feeling and then strategizing once you get to the workout room. Now, we talked a lot about the what, the why, the how. And one of the big things that we're going to talk about is
Wear your OTB.
wear your heart rate monitor. If you don't currently wear a heart rate monitor when you take Orange Theory, I would challenge and ask why.
I
I
mean, honestly, like, how do you live life under the orange lights without a heart rate monitor? I feel naked if I don't have one on during class.
Yeah, I would I would say comment when we add this to the Facebook group if you care, or private message us directly. And I would love to hear the reasons why, because I don't think there's any reason out there that I would accept as the reason why we don't wear one. So a lot of what we discuss is green days. Here are two of my summaries, by the way, that showed a majority of my time spent in the green zone. So the left summary is showing us I had 34 minutes in the green, 15 minutes in the blue, 8 minutes in the gray. Sure, I saw a little bit of orange, but not enough for it to really matter. And same thing on my favorite part of our summaries is that linear graph. You can see the chunk of my time in the green zone. I only got 3 minutes in the orange, so I stayed steady in those lower heart rate zones for the duration of my class. Physically, I can see it and feel it and know that it happened. If you're not wearing your monitor, I've said this to Ashley, you're kind of guessing. You're kind
Mhm.
of guessing on your intensity level. I think I worked out hard enough today, or I think I took it easy today, but did you really? So if you're not wearing an OTB, let us know. we will give you the chance to borrow one to try it. And then from there, you can purchase your own because don't forget, you can wear them outside of the studio. You can wear them at all times. And it's important because if you have goals, you need to have data to know where to go. So this is even just the surface. You can dig into that. You can see when the last time you did that workout was, what average speed you held, what distance you got, what average wattage you got. You can see how the fluctuations in your linear graph changes. So wear one. That's the PSA for for this workshop. Let's recap it all. Big one, green days, rest days. I say green days are like the baby steps. If you're someone that's sitting there and you're like, ooh, I'm an overtrainer, I definitely work out too often, too hard, incorporate a green day. If you're so stubborn to get a rest day in there, give it a green day. However, a rest day, one of them a week is absolutely fine. It will not deter you from your fitness goals. Take it. It's beneficial more than it's not. We talked about that heart rate monitor. Wear one, please. And I feel like options and regressions get a bad rap. Like people think like I can only take that if I have an injury. Take them. And as Ashley mentioned, change up the tempo. You can do that. That changes the level of intensity, whether it's higher or lower. So if you're unsure of how to do that, see your coaches. They'll be more than happy to
Also,
help you out.
options and regressions allow you a chance to know how your body moves. So
Mhm.
if you decide to drop the weight, it's a chance for you to get that movement pattern down so that you can lift heavier weight later. Okay, that's it.
We talked so much about green days. I feel like we can't talk about green days enough, but it helps with injury prevention. Again, it's just going to keep you in check to make sure that you're not going hard every single class that you take. And really, the biggest takeaway is if you're unsure how to take a green day, how to do anything that we've just talked about, you got to ask your coach. So there are so many coaches in all of our regions that can answer any of your questions and help you on any of the topics we discussed. Again, I'm based out of Cap Region, so if you ever see me in passing, ask away. Ashley's out in Buffalo. And of course, we have our coaches from all our other regions to really give you the best shot at making the transformation challenge successful, but also after that successful, because we don't want you here just for the 8 weeks. We want you here long term. So Ash, is there anything you wanted to finish out with?
Um, take a green day. It's okay. Rest is key.
Key. All right, guys. This will get dropped in. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reply and comment underneath it once it gets dropped to the Facebook group. And again, if you see us in studio, do not hesitate to ask any one of your coaches, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. So wear your OTB heart rate monitor, and we'll see you for your next workout.